Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
He's going to go an empty set here. Backs to throw on second and long. Airs one down the right sideline. Broken up by the Colts. There's a flag on the play, and there is a would-be interception on the play made by Alex Johnson for the Colts, getting the start today. So now it's 4th and 7, and on for about a 53-yard field goal here is Spencer Schrader. Out of the hold of Rigoberto Sanchez. Here's the kick on its way towards the uprights, and it is good. And the Colts get points after the takeaway by the defense. Offset eye, fullback back into the game, rush under center. Straight give on a counter, and it's a gaping hole for Mitchell. He's inside the 15, he's at the 10, he's at the 5, and he's going to stretch it across the goal line, and a touchdown. That's a 22-yard run for Keaton Mitchell. He had 2 runs on that drive that were 20-plus, including a touchdown. And the Ravens score points on their second possession of the game. Anthony Richardson goes out of the gun, ball in the near hash. Backs to throw, and he is decked from the left, and he is sacked and buried. He took a big-time hit, but more importantly, hangs on to the football, and the Ravens with a sack off the left edge.
And he's going off the field, Matt. He got hit unabated. There was no one blocking. The protection was totally not there. You had a back releasing in the backfield, and they were going one way, and you can't have your quarterback take that shot.
That's David Ajabo going into his 4th year. And like you said, Anthony Richardson is out of the game. That was a wicked hit. 4th and 17. Rigoberto Sanchez will punt. End over end rugby-style punt. Underneath it is Wester. Makes the catch around the numbers right side, around the 14-yard line, moving left. Cuts upfield, 20, 25. He's at the 30, 35, 40. Down the right sideline, he's going to go. No Colt will catch him. And LeJante Wester out of Colorado with a punt return touchdown. It's 1st and goal now for the Ravens inside the 5-yard line. High snap for Leary. Pulls it down. Hands off left side to Ali. Fighting for the end zone. And he gets in. Twisted down at the goal line, but fought his way across for a touchdown. Herbert in his 5th year out of Virginia Tech. Lines up to the right of Leonard, who goes out of the gun here. Ball on the right hash. Tight end right as well. Again, they call Khalil Herbert's name. He gets a little push from Riley Leonard across the goal line. Yes, sir. Touchdown, Khalil Herbert. And the Colts have their first offensive touchdown of the preseason. And the Ravens are going to win in preseason game number 1 over the Indianapolis Colts. The final score tonight on the Ruoff Mortgage scoreboard, it's the Ravens 24 and the Indianapolis Colts 16.
That's Matt Taylor and Charles Arbuckle on the Colts Radio Network broadcast from last night, preseason game number 1, and nobody really cares about the final score. But everybody is going to be talking about a dislocated pinky, and even more so than that, a quarterback that does remain incredibly breakable, more times than not unavailable. And then it gives us even more reason to wonder, going into year number 3, what has been learned regarding taking the sack, taking the punishment, and then exiting the game. Here's what I don't want you to – by the way, I'll get into this. We'll take your calls basically throughout the day. So you join us. I did want to go ahead and set the scene for you. I am at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson today. The 32nd edition of the $300,000 Dan Patch Stakes presented by Indiana Standard Breed Development here at Harrah's Hoosier Park. It is later on today. Actually, first post is at 5:30. So I know our good friend Tony Renz is going to join us. I know Gabe is going to be here a little bit later on to tell us some things. We'll lay that out for you. I also want to remind you that normally we have hashtag Ask Pat. I think Pat is out today, so no hashtag Ask Pat today, which I guess outside of talking about the events, and we love the Dan Patch up here at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino at Anderson, but I guess outside of the Dan Patch, we've got a couple of major points. One for the good is yesterday, and just what an outstanding day that it was down at the Legends Golf Club in Franklin. Just across the board, I love hanging out, as you well know. This is why I love doing shows like this. I would much rather be out than I would be in. Nothing against James, nothing against anybody I work with, but I would much rather be out and hanging out with you and those that are a part of the show and have them live as I would be in studio. And I do recognize that more times than not, the morning show and then the midday show, so Kevin and James and Jeff, and then Jake rarely get the opportunity to be out. And I know that yesterday was a really special day for them because they got out and they were with you, just like I was. It's kind of old hat between us, right? Because I think you've seen me drink a beer. You've seen me have a cocktail. You've seen me sit behind and do all the not really being able to move because the show goes really quick here from 3 until 6 every afternoon. But we've hung out together, so you've seen that before. But I thought it was really cool. The other shows got to be a part of that. You got to hang out with them. Our partners got to hang out with them. And we have a great day raising money as a part of Franciscan Health at Legends down in Franklin, and I wanted to thank each and every one of you for making that day ultra special. Absolutely loved it. Last year, we didn't do it on an actual golf course. It was still fun, but it was very enjoyable to be back at a golf course, and I can't lie to you, and I'm never gonna. I thought yesterday was the most fun I'd ever had at a golf outing in my life, because I spent the better part of 6.5 hours doing nothing but shooting jumpers. And shooting jumpers to make money. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, pal. Long time no see there, man. Good to see you. It was great. Really was. So I'm going to run down a list of those I really do want to thank and certainly recognize, but I want to start with you. I wanted to start with you that participated, listeners and friends of the show, and just making that a spectacular afternoon. All those that we work with at Urban One, I mean, really across the board. It kind of seemed like that everybody from each station in our building was present there, just making sure the operation was outstanding. And we're going to get to just in a second an operation that wasn't so outstanding last night, but an operation that was outstanding. And yesterday is one of those moments, just like many, where you're really proud to work with and around and for a group that does care so much. And I talk about this all the time. I love radio, and so much has been said about it, so much to the good, so much to the bad. And until my last breath, I am going to do what I can do to help radio, because I know how important it is to so many, no matter how you get your content any longer, no matter how much it's digital. But I love what we do really across the board, and I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of it yesterday. It was truly outstanding. And again, that operation was great. I do want to move on to an operation that I felt was not so great. I am trying, and I mean trying really hard, not to make more out of this than it is. This is, as they say, not my first rodeo. So I'm not going to go all overboard about it, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I told you so. Hopefully everything irons out. And one of these days, it is much better and much more consistent. But yesterday, watching that game in Baltimore, did anybody else get the feel? It's like Groundhog Day. And if you don't know what Groundhog Day is, this is taken from the film with Bill Murray it's reliving the same blank over and over again, and I swear to you, that's what it felt like to me, even before I get to the quarterback situation. I hate it that I have to sit here and I have to really try to cobble together positives. And I don't care if it's a preseason game one or not. What did I say yesterday? You would much rather say, hey, they played well, but. Now, they did play well against a lot of these second, third, fourth, and fifth stringers and guys that weren't going to be around. You would much rather say that, but hell, I can't even say that for a lot of things. I'm not predicting doom and gloom. I just think that we're still on that treadmill that is massive in context and does not appear to be going away anytime soon. That bums me out. Still, preseason game 2 is a week from tomorrow. You'll close it out with a third. And I'm sure the regular season, and it sure as hell better be, will be drastically different than what we witnessed last night. But when you have to stretch, define things to go, hey, that's great. Like, I give you a great example. I fully expected Tyler Warren to look like that. Like, there was no surprise there. I wanted to be surprised. But, oh, wow, okay. Well, this is what they've been talking about for the past couple of weeks up at Grand Park at Westfield. I get it now. Now, I haven't been there. You haven't been there. You know, the guys that have been there every day, yeah, this is what they were talking about. I didn't get any of that feel. Tyler Warren, you did, but that's what I expected. I expect Tyler Warren to be really good. Why? Because he was the best at his position by a long stretch a year ago in college football. You expect that transition to happen. So that wasn't a surprise to me. Not at all. Unfortunately, the stuff that also becomes commonplace is the stuff that we have endured over seasons of the past, especially in the short term, or maybe in this case, because that's what we're talking about, the last two. I want, again, to put this into context, I'm not going to go overboard on this being a preseason game, but I will tell you that nothing really stood out to where I could tell you, oh, wow, this is going to be great. Tyler Warren did, but again, I expect that. And I know that you didn't see a lot of guys, and that is going to be different. I respect it. It just looked like, and it should, right? Because the Ravens are a much better organization and, simply put, a much better football team. But I just thought I saw a much better operation at that point in time with a group that was playing subs across the board. You know, with the exception of the dude out of Georgia that was playing in the secondary, the safety. It was subs. So I do expect a little bit more from those that have been there and done that. You had a lot of Colts players that you recognize name-wise, don't you, that were playing last night. And I'll get to the quarterback situation in a second. That's the thing that also doesn't surprise. Where I was looking at a surprise for the good last night, I got a heavy dose of what we've came to recognize, is that you can't count on, until further notice, the quarterback position at all. Anthony Richardson goes out because he doesn't recognize the situation. I mean, it was so much like revisiting every single game that he's played so far, for the most part, in his Colts career last night. He goes out, makes a couple of passes. Everybody says, hey, I told you so. This guy is different. He is unique. He's a unicorn, and he's great. And then he takes a hit, and he goes out, and he's injured. And everybody on one side tries to blame the offensive line or blame the coaching because they didn't have the guys on the offensive line out there. And then the other side blames the quarterback. And then after the game, the quarterback puts the blame on himself. And then you have all these thousands of other former quarterbacks of the NFL explain to you stuff that should be easily recognizable, easily identifiable, that didn't happen to be on that particular play that led to it. Hey, the good news about Anthony Richardson is he's day-to-day. And hopefully they sidestep whatever they're sidestepping here. The bad news is you got another game and another heavy dose of what exactly you have come to know over the past couple of years. There's going to be a fleeting moment when you're going to feel good. For the most part, you're not. And then there is going to be a long, even more firm moment in which he is completely unavailable. So that is what you're going to have to endure, and that is what wears you out. And that, again, is why you're in the position in which you are, to where you are into it, but not as much into it as you used to be. Because last night is kind of what you expect. So Anthony Richardson was 2 of 3, 21 yards. That sack, the injured pinky, he goes out. Daniel Jones comes in. I didn't think Daniel Jones was very good either. I guess I expect more, and I try to consider, and I take the cue from Rick Venturi, who kind of explained on our pregame show last night how he scores things, considering it's the preseason. And I think that he liked some of the things that Daniel Jones did, but all in all, this was entirely too recognizable to the group and the team that we have seen before. And as I always like to say, until further notice, I don't have much else to go on. I can't come here and say, well, you know what? The preseason only matters when guys play well. We have seen over certain recent history that it really does matter when they don't. Because sometimes you never see what you had hoped, what had been expressed, what had been described. You never see that positively come to fruition. So, again, I thought across the board last night was a lot of what we have seen in the past. There were moments, but most of those moments got swallowed up by the situation with Richardson, got swallowed up by a special teams unit, a kicker that made kicks, but a kicker that kind of looked like the kicker they got rid of last year to a degree. I guess he's cheaper, whatever. Like that matters to you. But a special teams unit that looked in absolute disarray. A defense that struggled against the run. And I will remind I know that the frontline guys for the most part weren't out there. But one of these days, we will expect more. I'm not going to hold my breath until that day is here, but I cannot wait until you do expect more. I'll give you a great example. Like Baltimore is a team. We were talking to the Whacker guy from the Baltimore Sun a couple of days ago about Baltimore, right? And, their expectation is to finally get over that hump in the AFC. Regular season-wise, they have been really good and then hit a speed bump pretty much every single time in the postseason. It is Super Bowl or bust for them. They are a good team. And that, to me, is what I would like to be having conversationally one of these days, and hopefully the not-so-distant future, about the Colts. Your level of disappointment, doesn't rest on what takes place in preseason game one. But in the overall outlook of the season, I thought that you saw a team coached by John Harbaugh that had all of its backups in there that was pretty dialed in. I guess in terms of culture, coaches talk about culture all the time. That seems like a pretty good culture, a pretty strong culture. And you could probably say that about those top-tier teams around the AFC. And I could spend all this first segment, ragging on Anthony Richardson and saying, hey, I told you so, this guy's never going to make it. This has been a huge Band-Aid, or they should have yanked it off and moved forward and started. I could do this. I'm not going to do that after the first preseason game. We'll save that for later. We're not going to do that after the first preseason game. It's just disappointing that so many of these other factors that we're discussing after the first preseason games are things that we have discussed really until it makes us all sick in recent history. And that is just where you are, and that is a part of being on a treadmill. I think, like somebody had kind of described it to me, and I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know how you can tell in a game in August, a preseason Thursday night in August. Somebody had said, the Ravens are showing a sense of urgency. Well, the Ravens have everything figured out. They just have other guys out there flying around trying to make plays, trying to make a name for themselves in, a lot of ways, trying to make the team, trying to make the practice squad. It just kind of looked like the same old thing to me with the Colts. And it may not be the exact same thing. Maybe it's not been things we have argued in the past. But I just kind of look back at the operation. I kind of wonder when, one of these days, I know it all starts with the quarterback position. I hate to bore you with that fact, but it does, for the most part, all start there. But that's too easy to spend all that time on it. There are bright spots, as I mentioned. Tyler Warren was certainly a bright spot. Was it Bocce that came over from Cincinnati that had an interception? It was an athletic as hell interception by the linebacker. That was nice. But there was nothing really after that positively that was that memorable or as memorable to me as was the other aspects. And a lot of these other aspects we've discussed over and over again, and certainly that starts with the quarterback. So I know while you reserve the right to go fully over the top until it really, truly does matter, I will reserve the right to get excited about anything until it fully does matter, because that was not a product last night I'm excited about at all. It just wasn't. Not across the board. Again, fired up about Tyler Warren. But at the same time, that's something I expected. Yeah, give me a little bit of something I didn't expect. And maybe that happens. Maybe that happens once you get, the starters defensively in there, and you get a secondary with some playmaking ability. They didn't make plays last night, don't get me wrong, but a secondary with playmaking ability. And, I thought Riley Leonard had some moments, 12 of 24, 92 yards. It's great that Riley Leonard has moments, but he's the wrong dude that needs to be had. The other two need to be having some moments. I'll give Daniel Jones credit where credit is due. He did look like a guy that deserved to be out there. He made some plays, but, hell, the dude's been in the NFL for a while now. I would hope so. I'd even expect more out of him. And he had a couple of drops. Anthony Gould struggled with catching a cold last night. So he did have a couple of drops. I think they were both on Daniel Jones's watch. But, I can't sit here also and talk about Anthony Richardson and completion percentage and go on those numbers and go, oh, well, look what Riley Leonard did. Yeah, hey, great. I should say Daniel Jones did 10 of 21. Yay. You know what I mean? And again, I know it's a part of the operation, and that's probably what bums me out really more than anything else. So that's where we start today, and I do have time to take your calls at 239-1070. I would remind you, I don't think there's much need to shake your fist and get pissed, but I will say this, you do start now to kind of look at your watch a little bit and wonder if we're going to see the same damn thing once again when you could have bailed out of somewhat all of this same damn thing time and time again ago. It just seems like we're in the same spot. Other teams make strides. Other teams that are good raise their bar to where they need to be, and we're right here. That's what last night reminded me of for the most part. A little bit more detailed breakdown we'll have for you. Joel A. Erickson of the Star joins us coming up. And the 5 o'clock hour, James Boyd was a part of the festivities yesterday down in Franklin. He joins us coming up after 4 today. And again, I want to thank everybody that attended, everybody that was out there. I will also thank all of you that listened, because there was a lot of stuff going on yesterday with the 9 hours we were all out there. It was so fun for us, for such a great cause, and thank you all for listening. The Dan Patch is happening. The first post time is coming up at 5:30, so that finds me on this annual date at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. My man, you're walking right by, aren't you? You're huh? Good to see you, buddy. You're moving well right there. Huh? Well, thank you very much for coming by. It's good to see you, pal. Go out there and win you a little something tonight. Well, you already did. All right. Well, win something for us too, okay? Don't forget about us. I love Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. We're at Anderson. We got a lot more for you, too. Our good friend Tony Renz is going to join us, too. I mentioned he'll talk up the Dan Patch. But also Joe A. Erickson of the Star. James Boyd joins us from the Athletic and the Fan Morning Show. Stuff to give away and a busy weekend. I will go into full detail about. And when I mention it kind of gets lost in the shuffle, when you look like you did last night, and the football season starts, there's a certain team that's going to get lost in the shuffle. That's what I've mentioned before. I hate to warn people about what I'm going to be right about, but I'm going to be right about it. Quick break, and we shall return. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. You can look at me right now. We're inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Participate at 239-1070. The stream, the app, HD Radio, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
my class, I got a boner at PE in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing, so this song goes out to him.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Anthony Richardson goes out of the gun, ball in the near hash, backs to throw, and he is decked from the left, and he is sacked and buried. He took a big-time hit, but more importantly, hangs on to the football, and the Ravens with a sack off the left edge.
And he's going off the field, Matt. He got hit unabated. There was no one blocking. The protection was totally not there. You had a back releasing in the backfield, and they were going one way, and you can't have your quarterback take that shot.
That's David Ajabo going into his 4th year. And like you said, Anthony Richardson is out of the game. That was a wicked hit as Ajabo just kind of ear-holed Richardson, who was not looking to his right. He was looking left, and Ajabo hit him from that left edge of the defense, if you will. So Daniel Jones is now playing quarterback for the Colts.
Matt Taylor and Charles Arbuckle from the Colts Radio Network. I think from here on out, and listen, hopefully there is zero need. I'm trying to give you a little bit of hope, and certainly the understanding that it is a preseason game, but this is not a new path. So I'm assuming every time something like that happens to Anthony Richardson, are we going to reference it as Ajabo? I think so. An Ajabo, not a sack, not getting injured, but here's your Ajabo. I want it. I mean, even if it is, we've had moments during the regular season where you get that feel like something's going to change, but holy, they last for like 5 seconds. And then you have to endure this type of stuff even after a preseason game number 1. There is zero. These guys are going out there and running around. There is more put into it as far as what to recognize and what to go against when they're doing the joint practice stuff. Rick Venturi will tell you that. There's more in I mean, this is this is like a glorified scrimmage last night. All you want him to do is to maintain and to look good in a glorified scrimmage. That's it. We don't give a damn about the final score. I mean, clearly we don't give a damn about the stats because everybody's thinking Daniel Jones looked great. And, I mean, hell, 10 of 21, we're going to have another completion percentage conversation. And, frankly, I am sick and tired of it. You should have been, hell, well, I mean, with the drops. How many drops were there last night? I mean, Daniel Jones, you should have been like 19 of 21. And then we'd factor in the couple of times he threw it to Anthony Gould, and, man, that was a struggle. Glad that dude is fast on special teams because he brought the salad tongs with him. Last night he wasn't catching anything. Anyway, we do realize where we are, but that doesn't mean we don't discuss where we are. I swear to you, I could have probably re-racked a show this time last year. It is incredible. I'm right there with you, though. I'm really over it. I'm over all of this. I hope one of these days, and I've said this before, I mean, I value your opinions on here. Some of you are jackasses, but I think for the most part, we're talking with some sharp folks that call in the show. Well, maybe not all, but some. But I know by now you see and understand what you see. And a lot of you were a little bit confused last night because, listen, you might feel like there's this battleground between those that don't like Richardson and those that do like Richardson. There's not. Those that would suggest that Richardson is not the guy or has for the past year plus, they just want somebody to be the guy. That's all. You're just looking for positivity, for goodness sake, at that position. Seriously, I kind of have written off Riley Leonard from last night. I would rather watch that. But, I mean, he was just a 50% completion percent. If you're looking at that number, I know we're not looking at numbers. But, again, if you're going to have this battle or this debate over the quarterback situation, this is just absolutely endless. You would expect guys to go out there against second, third, fourth, fifth stringers and just be able to throw frozen ropes, be able to execute. I mean, these were named recognizable guys that were out there. Well, it's the offensive line's fault. It's the coaching staff's fault. I mean, I pretty much knew who was playing on the offensive line. I mean, if it was their spot, by the way, Richardson is the one that owned it after the game. I knew the guys that weren't making plays. That's what's problematic. That is what's problematic, and unfortunately, that is where we are right now with this team. As I always say, and wear you out on it, until further notice. That is where we are. Hey, not to mention until further notice, here's where we are. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. We are in Anderson. The Dan Patch is coming up. The first post time is later on this afternoon at 5:30 today, so we cannot wait for that. Got a lot of notes here to talk up. JMV, the Colts don't look any different because their training camps are soft, and with reduced practice times half of the time they're standing around cutting up. I just say operational. I think it looks the same because it's operational. I remember times when we thought that under Bill Polian and Tony Dungy that camps, there was a lot of standing around and not a lot getting done. But it didn't look like this. That's why I say operational. I mean, I don't know what these guys, we don't see a lot of, certainly, what they do in other practice settings, what they do outside of that hour-and-a-half practice window in preparation for it. I just know that even in a preseason game one, I expected to be a little bit more consistent considering your opposition than what you got last night. I'm not trying to be disappointed after a first preseason game, but I thought that pretty much stunk last night. As a Colts fan and in general a sports fan, I'm bored with hearing what a physical specimen Anthony Richardson is and how high the ceiling is. His physical prowess has meant nothing. We have no idea what his ceiling is right now. He is in the cellar. I think, to me, what was just written there is pretty accurate. As a quarterback, I'm not going to tell you we don't have an idea what he is. The unfortunate circumstances would be if we have an idea what he is, we know what he is. It's up to him to change our mind. And that's why I say all the time, I sit here and I'm excited about being proven wrong one of these days. For the love of all that is holy, prove my ass wrong. Stay healthy. Make plays. Be productive. Be efficient. You never can do that. And it doesn't matter if it's after a preseason game 1 or regular season game 10. After sitting out and realizing, by the way, less than a year ago, what you have to do to play the position, what your responsibilities are, that was less than a year ago. So, unfortunately, all those, the 1 or 2 or 3 half-court makes, it doesn't make up for all the other stuff. And, if you're pro Anthony Richardson, and I hear it a lot, I mean, there's still a ton of you out there. But if you're pro Anthony Richardson, that's what you're going on. You're going on, that Natasha Howard shot last night from half court. Remember? Sure you don't. At the end of the half last night, I think cut the lead to 11, something like that, a little half-court shot, and then you saw the outcome of the game. See, that to me is eerily reminiscent of what we're talking about right here with the quarterback. Yeah, you'll make a half-court shot and end up losing everything else by a substantial margin. And that's what we talk about. Fans do get a little bit tired of it around here. And listen, you guys are paying the price of admission, so I'd understand exactly why you may be tired of it at this point in time. Hey, James, back at the studio. Fulton is reporting on the social media platform X that Pat Sullivan called, and Pat is not coming on the show today. Just so you know.
Well, that's good to be made aware of.
Yes, you are updated.
I appreciate it, Fulton.
BT says this is kind of like rooting for the Reds. I would imagine that there are similarities between the baseball Red. I guess I should know because I'm a Reds fan. And this right here. But I think what it is here is you would expect at some point, doesn't everybody kind of dig out of it in the NFL? If you're buried in Major League Baseball, and, we've seen in the past and question, whether or not you have an organization that really, truly wants to dig out of that hole that has been dug. You can do it in the NFL, and you can do it with better savvy decisions. They just have not gotten it done. All right, I want to do some calls at 239-1070 from you. The final score, 24-16, of no consequence. We're talking about the good and the bad. I will give Riley Leonard credit because in comparison, he made some plays. But all that really, truly does matter starts with the quarterback position, and I didn't think too much of that. Again, preseason game number 1, hopefully it will all change. Yeah, Ashton Doolin played well. I think Ashton Doolin is somebody you'd expect to play well. He's been around there forever, and I fully expect Tyler Warren to be really good. I do one of these days, I want to see A.D. Mitchell be what everybody describes A.D. Mitchell as being in practice, or at least recently, not like the early descriptions of A.D. Mitchell in practice. Hunter Wohler, who I think is going to be on with the fellas coming up in Colts Happy Hour. 9 total tackles. Who else? Yeah, Eric Johnson had a pick. Couple of pass plays defended last night. Again, trying to give credit where credit is due. But all in all, yeah, I guess the kicking game. Yeah, Joe Bocci shout out with that interception. I thought that was an athletic interception without question. And Spencer Schrader was very close to, I thought, and I think that's a good thing. Yeah, 50-plus, you got to have it in this era of the NFL, and you got to have it consistently. But I thought the good part about Spencer Schrader last night, at the very least, he looked like what you had in Matt Gay. No, he looks like somebody that inside of 50 is going to be counted on. But the problem is, in this era of the NFL, you have to count on it consistently beyond 50. We'll see where that goes. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Tony Rand's going to join us coming up on the other side. James Boyd, top of the hour. Joel A. Erickson of the Star still to join. And 239-1070, your calls to respond to last night's preseason game number 1 with your thoughts on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, it's John here for Big Red Liquors and Power in the JMV Takeover.
Ding dong.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, Tony Renz, thank you. Modest Mouse, Flaming Lips, August the 11th. That's a Monday. Everwise Amphitheater, number 9, 239-1070. You can go on us. Going to be a great show for you. If you're on hold, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to recognize you by name right now as well because I feel it necessary. Anthony, Grant, and Joe, do not go anywhere because I got plenty of time to yip-yap with you guys coming up in just a second. Meantime, joining us here, go ahead and mount up right there, Tony Renz. You know how this procedure goes. Put that little microphone in front of your grill right there, and let's go to work. Are you ready?
I'm not hearing you yet.
Which one we got?
There we go. I got you now.
Now you got me. Tony Renz is here. How you doing, brother?
Man, I am fantastic, John. You know, I was driving up. I've run a little late. I was coming from the state fair.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get back down there tomorrow night, watch you a little bit.
Well, you got to get down there to the tap room. We're going to make it like Dance Party USA.
I got my leg warmers out.
I'm going to go ahead and get my hair all aqua knitted up. I'm going to peg my jeans a little bit, maybe even wear some parachute pants.
There you go.
What are you thinking?
You know, what I did hear you say on the way up is you're going to give your last breath to radio.
I am.
And I've got to compliment you because I've done some presentations that maybe go an hour. And when I'm done, my voice is shot.
Yeah.
And you're doing 3 hours, and some days 5, 6 hours, and then Sunday Coach, you're doing 9 hours. I can't believe how you do it.
There are people out there in radio, among all these other ways to get content, are the most prevalent. But people want to see the effort, to hear the effort, and to be a part of the effort. And that's what we deliver with this show 5 days a week and on Saturday night. And until somebody runs me over on the street, or I may live forever, who knows? But until that final day, that's how I'm going to do it because I don't know how to do it any other way.
You do it well.
It's like when you're a team and you find something that works for you, you go with that something. That's why I talk about Kurt Cignetti all the time. He has found something that has worked with JMU and with IU, and you roll into that. As Tin Cup famously said, you ride it until it bucks you, or you never ride at all. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So thank you very much. That is a nice compliment you give. Speaking of that, the Dan Patch is a big weekend right here. Post time 5:30, I think, for the first later on tonight.
5:30 for the first. It looks like the Dan Patch race itself is probably somewhere around 10:15 to 10:30. That's a $300,000 purse. That is the richest race in the state of Indiana that we're going to race tonight. And we've got a total of 11 horses going at it, and it should be fantastic.
Yeah, and it is a history of being fantastic, too. I saw an interesting article that goes back, you guys have framed up in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that goes back decades upon decades.
That goes back to the original, the Dan Patch, the horse, born here in Oxford, Indiana.
That's awesome.
And back when he was racing, he was the first athlete out there to have sponsorships and NIL money and so forth. They were doing matches, washing machines, car parts were named after him, you name it. And he had a following. When he raced, there'd be 100,000 people that shoot out to watch him. Well,
we're going to talk about more with Tony Renz. You're going to hang around for a while with me, aren't you? Tony Renz is going to hang around. We're right here as you enter at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino at Anderson. We do have the race of the day coming up a little bit later on, but the Dan Patch is today, and that first post is at 5:30. More with Tony Renz on the other side. James Boyd coming up. Your calls, as I mentioned, Joel A. Erickson, and more reaction to last night as we're live from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing at Casino in Anderson. And I'm not going to forget about you. Sid's in Noblesville, Brian of the gang. I'm coming for you a little bit later on tonight as well. I'll explain. Hour 2 straight ahead on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Colts are 3 for 11 tonight as a team on third down. Low snap for Riley Leonard. Digs it out. Now he's going to step up in the pocket and take off and run. 20, 15, 10. He's got a first down and is pushed out of bounds around the 5-yard line. Quarterback scramble. Riley Leonard. He picks up 21 yards. Now it'll be first and goal coming up for the Colts.
Riley Leonard last night. Matt Taylor on the call there, along with Charles Arbuckle from the Colts Radio Network. Outstanding job. Here's what I really loved. I loved having Rick Venturi on yesterday for not one, not two, but 3 segments on the Colts pregame huddle. Digging every second of that. Tony Renz rejoins in a second. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. The Dan Patch is coming up later on this afternoon, early evening. We're here for it. Derek is here rocking the JMV Sucks t-shirt, which is outstanding. And Anthony joins us with a little Colts preseason game 1 reaction before we get to James Boyd. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
John, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Anthony, I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the game last night, and I know I've called in before and talked about Chris Bowers, so I'm not going to talk about it this time. But I've heard you talk about Shane Steichen before, and I a very hands-off approach to him because he was brand new. But starting midway through last year, I started to have questions and starting to have more questions about Mr. Steichen.
Yeah.
I don't see the team prepared. We had 107 yards in penalties last night. That's 100% on coaching. And he gets up there in press conferences and acts like he's Bill Belichick 2.0. With his non-answers about everything. I think it's important to point out to Colts fans that the Eagles didn't miss a beat offensively without him. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, and that's all. And, hey, you know what? We have some bad feelings about the Colts, but let's have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you,
We're going to have one hellaciously awesome week, especially if we get out to Dance Party USA in the tap room with me tomorrow night of the JMV Takeover. That's your weekend go-to right there, brother. Okay, Anthony?
Thank you, man.
Get out there. And like I used to say, bring 1,000 chicks. That's what I used to say at my parties at Indiana State. Charge the dudes, chicks get in free. You know how genius that was? Genius. He mentioned Shane Steichen. And yet, Shane Steichen, there are some things where you could go, hey, while you blame the quarterback and Richardson for the sack, you can blame Steichen for him being out there with a line full of backups, even though I recognize the names of guys that are out there. He mentioned the penalties. This is something this is going beyond Lou Anarumo, Shane Steichen, and everybody here. My God, these guys can't tackle anybody. Why is that? I know because they don't have their starters in, but when he mentioned, Shane Steichen and things that also get tagged, and rightly so, to the coach, that they don't do well, these are fairly profound things. Penalties, lack of execution, all this stuff. And it really doesn't matter if it's preseason game 1 or regular season game 10. This all seems to happen. And it all happened. This is what they do. See, this is who they are until we are told, or I almost said turd, until we are told further. This is who they are. Until they're out of this. They're really more known for that than anything else. All these shortcomings and things that get you fired, get most fired, get a change in regime, get guys cut. Again, preseason game number 1, but oftentimes this is sort of the same stuff you see during the regular season anyway. Anthony had a point right there. Tony Renz in a second, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from the Athletic and the Fan Morning Show. He was outstanding also, shooting a little hoop with me yesterday, and he's going to be good to go for a little 5-on-5 run coming up on Sunday morning at Southport High School. Correct, James Boyd?
That is correct. Thank God the Colts have practice in the afternoon finally.
My brother. We're going, I believe it will be at Southport or Center Grove Central, one of the two, but we will pick him up and put him down coming up on Sunday morning. Hey, great effort by you yesterday, too. Makes you proud to be around everybody that we work with, does it not, in a situation like in Franklin at Legends yesterday?
Absolutely. I got to put a lot of, names with faces. You get on the email list, and I'm like, I don't know who half these people are. So it was good to be out there and also mingle with the listeners who wouldn't, I wouldn't have the opportunity without them. So it's always pretty cool.
All right. Thoughts about last night? He owned up to it being his mistake. How much of it, do you put it all on Richardson? Is there some on Steichen? And we're still, it doesn't really matter if it's preseason game 1 or week number 10. A lot of this stuff that we saw that we're critical about today is stuff that happens regardless of the time of the season with this Colts team.
Absolutely. I think the majority of the blame has to fall on Richardson. From what I understand, the protection or the defensive recognition he should have had in the moment is something that a lot of quarterbacks that I was reading today that have played in the NFL were saying is a pretty simple adjustment. Now, obviously, players make mistakes, but the confounding part for Anthony is that he might have made that mistake because he hasn't had a ton of reps. And then he gets knocked out of the game, and what is he missing? More reps. So only had 6 snaps last night, really 7 because they had 1 play called back. But I feel for the young man, but I'm also happy that he did not suffer a bigger injury, JMV. Dislocated finger, looks pretty bad early on, but I personally felt like it wasn't that bad because he didn't freak out. If he had broken his finger, I think he would have been less calm than he was on the sideline and probably would have went back to the locker room to get checked out even further.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of more about the same old. That makes sense. All right, lack of efficiency, bad decisions, unavailability. I mean, it's all kind of the same thing. This is all kind of rolled into one for him. He's most been known for at least those 3 things, if not beyond.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing among those 3 things is the unavailability, the injury-prone nature of his career. And now bottom line is for Anthony, great person, great human, and the Colts believe he can be a great player. But the thing that holds him back more than anything is that he can't stay on the field for an extended period of time. And even though last night was probably pretty minor and in a regular season game, perhaps he goes back in, it's just the fact that we're having this conversation again, JMV. I feel like you can pick any day of the year, any game, like you said, and we're having this conversation about the guy not being available. And at some point, that's going to dominate anything else you do because what's the best availability? Or ability? It's availability, as my high school coach always said.
Well, I'm going to put this again. We had a caller, Anthony, bring up Shane Steichen, and I'm going to also put this on just where organizationally they are. These are all the same things, and we're talking about the quarterback situation, which is the same. But penalties, missed tackles, missed assignments, and certainly kind of a new wrinkle was just how awful special teams were outside of the new kicking situation last night. I mean, a lot of these things we're talking about, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it doesn't matter if it's preseason game 1. I mean, hell, it can come in the middle of the regular season, and it's still really what this Colts organization is most noted for right now, which is highly unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, they're known for being mediocre. They're known for not really winning as of late. I know the late Jim Irsay loved to mention being in the upper quartile, but those days are gone, man. Honestly, since I've moved to Indy in 2021, the Colts that I have known and watched for the last few years very intently, obviously just living here now, is a team that isn't good and consistently isn't good. So I think last night was not really I guess you could say it's a step forward because you got out there for a real game. So you could see what you could correct. But there was certainly some red flags throughout that. Some positive stuff as well. Tyler Warren being one of those positives. I thought A.D. Mitchell had some nice moments as well. Even Daniel Jones had a couple nice throws there. But overall, I wouldn't imagine Shane Steichen is too pleased with the execution part of it because that, pre-snap penalties and things like that, they just can't afford those because they're not a team that can really survive in some of those third and long, second and long situations. They're a team that needs every single yard that they can get because the quarterback play, in my opinion, JMV, isn't good enough to really get you out of a bunch of jams.
And it isn't expected to be good enough to get you out of these jams as well. You mentioned Warren. I mentioned him. I expected that. I think most of us did too. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Tuimoloau, I thought he looked good up until he got injured, obviously. I thought he looked really good. So you had a couple of rookies that popped. Maybe Hunter Wohler is a guy in the secondary that people were talking about. And granted, there are guys that weren't out there that you expect a lot more defensively. But, man, the one thing that has been a carryover so far from what has been regime to regime from a defensive coordinator angle has been they missed some tackles. And they missed some tackles in a profound way, James.
Yeah, I thought the run defense yesterday was not good at all. And, again, for those listening, I'm not telling you something you don't know, but they're not using their souped-up offenses or defenses in preseason games. Honestly, you probably see a lot more wrinkles in the joint practices, and even then you're holding back. So all of that in mind, I just think that it's kind of embarrassing to have the tackling effort that you put on display last night. And I do wonder, does that put a little bit of a bug in Chris Ballard's head to say, man, maybe we do need to go get a veteran to perhaps help that room or someone who's proven they can be a starter in this league? Because right now, the only proven starter in the room is Zaire Franklin, who's coming back from left ankle surgery. He's still rehabbing. But the rest of them, I mean, Cameron McGrone had a great opportunity last night to kind of show that, hey, I'm a starting caliber linebacker in this league. And I thought he struggled to fit some of the run schemes. I thought all the linebackers kind of did. So not great from a tackling standpoint, like you said, because the Ravens didn't do anything special. They just ran the ball. And then secondly, that special teams unit, man, like the angles they had, some of those kickoff returns, punt returns, just unacceptable. And I know Brian Mason probably was freaking out because he's a very serious guy, and I expect him to get that corrected pretty quickly.
Hey, next 2 days, James Boyd, by the way, joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Man, Derek White, whom I know you know very well, just brought over a bucket full of ice-cold beer for me, James Boyd. Is that a good friend or what right there, pal? What do you think?
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. He actually had me sign his PBR picture the other day, so I think I was the last one of the bunch to get my signature on there. So I was, I guess, surrounded by greatness in that regard.
D. White is in the house. That's James Boyd of the Fan Morning Show, 7 until 10 a.m. You can catch him weekday mornings, Monday through Friday here on the Fan. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So a lot has been asked of me. So the assumption here, and I know you got a couple of days of practice. You mentioned that Saturday and Sunday for the Colts. I'm assuming that the whole starter and the rep mentality is going to be flipped, considering the circumstances of Richardson last night and what they had thought, and maybe flip for game number 2 coming up a week from tomorrow against Green Bay?
I would think so, but I'm not so sure. I'm very curious to see how Anthony's hand responds to, having the finger dislocated and put back in. From what I understand, he had some x-rays done on it, and he's fine just day-to-day, a little bit sore. But, what does that look like? Do they limit him at all tomorrow? And they do have 3 straight practices, so I'm thinking, do you limit him tomorrow and kind of ramp him up Sunday and Monday before you have some off days, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then going into the joint practice Thursday? So I'm also curious, JMV, because of the joint practice on that Thursday, depending on how many reps each quarterback gets, does that, change your mind? Do you stick with your original plan of having Daniel Jones start? Do you flip it? I mean, there's a lot of questions you have to have, but this is what happens when Anthony Richardson is involved. You kind of have to get creative because it never really goes as it's supposed to go or as it's planned, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's James Boyd with us. I still say this. He's going to be that week 1 starter. Like you mentioned a couple of nice throws by Daniel Jones. He didn't come in and there's no oh wow from me. I mean, he kind of did what I think he's capable and should be capable of doing, and nothing really more than that. What say you?
Yeah, I would agree. I was saying he had a couple nice throws. Now I can follow it up by saying he had a couple not so nice throws. There's some drops in there as well, but I think the Daniel Jones experience yesterday was kind of what I've come to expect. He's an okay to possibly slightly above average quarterback in the NFL. I mean, if you're looking back at that one season they made the playoffs with the Giants. But I wasn't surprised by his performance at all. And I do agree with you, JMV. I think that Anthony Richardson still will start week 1 barring a severe injury because, in my opinion, if you bench him before the season starts, if you tell him you don't have a chance to be our guy to start the season, I think you're telling him that this is the end. Now, people can debate on when will be his last game for the franchise or what that would look like, but effectively, that would be the end of the Anthony Richardson era because, to me, you're telling him I don't believe in you, and we're going to roll with this other guy who, by the way, isn't our long-term answer either because he's on a 1-year deal. So it's a lot at stake. But, again, Anthony cannot continue to have these setbacks physically. Otherwise, Daniel Jones is going to win the job by default. I mean, you had a shoulder in the spring to shut you down. You had a finger last night. You don't need to have anything else happen before now in the season.
All right. I mentioned that Spencer Strader, I thought, did kind of what he needed to do. He didn't, go consistently. He had that miss from, 50-plus, I think, whatever it was.
52.
Had a long hit from 53. That's okay, but he did kind of remind me of what they had, I guess, at a cheaper version, right, with Strader? Did he remind you of that last night a little bit? Matt Gay, but cheaper?
Yeah, I think that was their whole point is that they couldn't justify paying Matt Gay the money he was making. I think at the time of his contract, he signed the biggest free agent deal ever for a kicker in NFL history. And obviously, over the last 2 years, he didn't live up to that. A lot of his big issues were on field goals of 50-plus yards. I believe he was 11 of 22 over his 2 seasons with the Colts kicking from 50-plus. And obviously, they want to be a little bit better in that area. And I think that Spencer Strader took a step forward last night, especially after JMV. He missed a long field goal in the last 2-minute drill in the joint practice this past Tuesday. And I was wondering if that would weigh on his mind a little bit, but stepped up there, first kick, 53 yards on the money. And obviously you want to see him, deliver that final kick as well. But overall, I think that was a step in the right direction for him. And he easily is the kicker. I mean, Max Trujillo, the undrafted rookie out of Temple, he's not going to win the job. He has no chance of winning the job. Now the question becomes, is Spencer Strader your guy, or do you, go out and get somebody else if he struggles?
So Khalil Herbert, the veteran, is obviously in a camp battle right now. And he can do some other things as well. What do you think about his long-term prowess in making this roster when the training camp is complete?
I think it's crowded. It might be a little difficult to make that room because I'm looking at the other running backs. You have Jonathan Taylor, obviously, who's a lot to make the roster. You have DJ Giddens, who I think has, been in the rotation in that running back room and getting more reps with the second-string unit than Khalil Herbert. Then you have Tyler Goodson, who's also – familiar with the offense and offers some special teams ability. So it just depends on how many running backs you're trying to keep. But I would have Khalil Herbert probably behind those 3 I just listed because to me they offer you a little bit more and there's some more familiarity there as well outside of DJ Giddens, the rookie.
It's James Boyd with us. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, any other thoughts? As far as we can do thoughts on that or the Fever last 2 games where they can't guard you or I. That was a struggle.
Yeah, I'll go Fever on the last one. I just think that, last night's game was kind of an anomaly. Bad defense, horrible offense, 60 points. You can't win like that in the WNBA. But big picture-wise, JMV, you just wonder how much this team can withstand when they continue to have bodies just dropping. I mean, Caitlin Clark's been out for a while now. And then on top of that, you got some issues, popping up with Ari McDonald in her foot, I believe, foot ankle. And then Sydney Colson had a knee injury as well. So they need some point guards out there. They might need you, Joanna Man style.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm almost hesitant to bring anything like that up because you never know what you're getting into nowadays, right, when you bring that up. So, yeah, it's funny.
It's just true. It was a joke. Just a joke.
I will say this. I've never seen Joanna Man. Not a second of it.
Well,
How about that?
I'll be honest. I've seen the movie a couple of times. You're not missing anything. I feel like it's just something to know, like for a cultural, maybe a pop quiz question or something if you're a trivia night.
Right on.
Yeah, you ain't missing nothing, brother.
Right on. Hey, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Are you down? I'm going to put you in as marked as in, okay?
Marked as in. Yeah, you ain't about to, clown me on the radio no more, so I'm going to be there.
Well, we can't have any last-minute bailings because that'll get you clowned. I do that to everybody in the group.
No,
everybody.
I don't have any, I don't have any games to cover. I think I'm well rested, so I'm looking forward to it.
And unbeaten was I yesterday in the shooting contest, by the way?
You took one loss.
Huh?
They told me you took one loss.
No, I don't know who told you that. That's inaccurate as hell.
Okay. Just checking.
Unbeaten. Unbeaten, buddy. All right, Sunday morning.
All right, brother. I'll see you then.
It's James Boyd of the Athletic and the Fan Morning Show. 7 until 10 a.m. here, weekday mornings on the Fan. Unbeaten. There are a couple of videos out there, and these are one takes. The one, there was a multi-take, but it was going to Thad Matta because I thought Thad Matta would be, and I still have eligibility remaining, would be in need for something like me, and all the Butler guys came by. You know, Nick Gardner was there, so I think Scott Robish was a part of it, Mike Freeman. And hey, what's up, John? And for whatever reason, I couldn't knock it down for the video. We're trying to do something live for Thad Matta. I kept blanking it up. But otherwise, I felt really good yesterday, especially after I went over and put the little brace on with my Achilles because it was a little bit sore out there on the pavement. But, man, it was a great time yesterday. All right, we're going to come back. Tony Rins, you want to join us on the other side?
We should have Gabe coming soon, too.
Gabe is coming as well. So me and Tony, we got another set of headphones over here, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. We're good to go right here. Harrah's Hoosier Park, Racing and Casino. We are in Anderson. It is the Dan Patch coming up for you later on tonight. In fact, the first post is coming at 5:30, I believe, the 32nd edition of the $300,000 Dan Patch Stakes. And we know it's a big deal, don't we, Tony?
Absolutely.
Because look who's here, Griff. When Griff is here, it's a damn big deal. We know that to be true.
He don't come out for small stuff.
Tony and more on the other side, too. And Joel A. Erickson and your calls also coming up. Sit tight, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
tailpipe. You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Herbert in his 5th year out of Virginia Tech lines up to the right of Leonard, who goes out of the gun here. Ball on the right hash. Tight end right as well. Again, they call Khalil Herbert's name. He gets a little push from Riley Leonard across the goal line. Yes, sir. Touchdown, Khalil Herbert. And the Colts have their first offensive touchdown of the preseason. And they are now within 6 on the Ruoff Mortgage scoreboard. It's 21-15.
Final score ended 24-16. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts right there. I thought he and Charles sounded fantastic. So did Greg and Joe and Lara with the television broadcast you heard on Fox 59. Watched maybe on Fox 59 last night as well. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Tony Renz is going to rejoin in just a second. I want to get to Ramon at 239-1070 with preseason game 1 reaction. Ramon, go ahead. How are you? Ramon, I'm waiting for you.
All right, JMV, can you hear me?
I got you. Go ahead.
All right, sorry about it. But it's fade on that. I heard a stat the other day. The NFL is the greatest marketing. It's the greatest marketing tool around. It's 19 of 30 teams in the NFL have been under 500 the last 10 years. They have an under 500 record. That is astronomical. The coach in that group, they bounce around with Rivers and Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz and all these other quarterbacks. I was hearing, trouble this morning, Richardson having trouble maybe picking up, reading stuff, pre-snap, stuff like that. Maybe he just doesn't have it. But if you don't have it, then you better tank for Manning. They have to make a decision. Everybody's going to make a decision real soon. Real soon. What do you think about that? Thanks, buddy.
Ramon, thank you for the call. I will say this, that I heard that was a lot more prevalent. I can't honestly sit here and tell you that I want to see a team lose on purpose or hope a team loses. Because I've talked about that too much in the past with the Pacers, and I'm not going to be hypocritical, but you do kind of look and you wonder about the quarterback position, and you look at that crown jewel that we believe to be just that in the Manning family. And I think nights like last night, preseason or not, make you wonder even more. I just can't be hypocritical and tell you that's the path they should take, because I always talk about how I'm so set against it with the Pacers. So I'm not going to argue too much against it if you bring it up. Losing on purpose to me sucks. And that's the point I'll always make. Ramon, thank you very much for the call. Tony Renz rejoins us. Hello, Tony. Gabe Pruitt is here, the general manager of Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. We have spoken before. Is your microphone on right there, Dev? Do we got his mic on? Gabe, are you there?
I'm in. Ready to roll.
From the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
yes, sir.
Originally right there. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. No, if you had it to do over again, as a Colts fan, just touching on your last topic there, do you draft Will Levis, or are you thinking he's just been a bust as well?
No, he would probably suck too. See,
Tennessee fans may agree to you. Just a little Kentucky.
No, they know. And a lot of people, Gabe, to your credit, would bring that up and say, well, you know what? You can't put this on the organization because what choice would you have? They're time and time again at the quarterback position, they've gone with, the veteran they've brought in, guys they brought in, and really the only person that's worked since Andrew Luck has been Phillip Rivers. So, yeah, you don't get this much of an opportunity under normal circumstances, and this would be it. That's why this either works or it doesn't, and then everybody is gone, as it maybe should have been a year ago, and we'll see what happens this year. I just can't suggest that a team, go out there and go, hey, I hope we lose, because I think that really sucks.
Yeah, that's a bad mindset to lock into.
I don't like it at all. Hey, speaking of not losing, the Dan Patch, that is a big deal coming up a little bit later on here, is it not?
It is a huge deal. In fact, we invite everyone out. It's going to be perfect weather tonight. We have a blockbuster field. This is the 32nd edition of the Dan Patch Stakes. $300,000 purse. It's one of the premier races in the entire sport of harness racing annually. The signature event for us here at Hoosier Park. But we've got a deep and just loaded field. This field, 11 horses tonight are going to go to post. The race is going to go about 10:40 p.m. Combined earnings, $15 million plus with this field of 11, so it's a loaded group. It's going to be a huge race here tonight. We're really looking forward to it.
Across the country?
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be, if you're an Indiana sports fan, and by the way, I moved here during the Pacers playoff run, so I know there's a lot of Indiana sports fans.
Because you were on with me during that,
That's right.
too, yes.
This is going to be a showcase night for the state of Indiana. I'll tell you why, because this is going to be on national TV tonight. And Horseshoe, our sister property down in Shelbyville, they're racing an evening card, too, down there under the lights.
Really?
So actually, Fox Sports 2, FS2, will carry the action from both here and Horseshoe from 8 to 9:30. Once 9:30 comes along, we'll actually click over to FS1. So and that'll be from 9:30 to 11. And the signature race in that FS1 broadcast will be the Dan Patch Stakes right here.
That is awesome there.
Really
Congratulations on that.
It's going to be, I think if you're an Indiana sports fan, it's a prideful night. You know, we love the horse racing industry here in the state, and we're really going to showcase it in the very best of lights tonight to a national audience.
Go ahead, Tony. You got a question? I didn't know.
No, that's tough to follow up right there. I mean, that's big stuff there.
Hey, Gabe, you I mentioned from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Where's I mean, obviously that is the epicenter that we know it to be, but where's Indiana rank compared to that, and is it coming along nicely as it looks?
This is a first-class facility. I mean, and we've hosted the sport's biggest event, which sort of rotates from track to track, the Breeders' Crown out there. Several may remember it's been hosted 3 times here at Hoosier Park. So, I mean, it puts Hoosier on a national stage. I mean, and again, some of the very biggest races of the year here throughout the course of the calendar. So we've got, again, some of the faces in the paddock tonight. We've got Dexter Dunn in town. He's been the 5-time consecutive driver of the year, the sport of harness racing. So he's here. A lot of the big names in the sport. So, yeah, this is the very best of the best. We've been on a great run this year in terms of the wagering handle. We're up about 20%, a little bit over that. So I think a lot of momentum here right now. And, again, we're just looking for a big crowd here tonight on a perfect evening for the Dan Patch.
Yeah, the Dan Patch is coming up later on tonight. Gabe Pruitt's the general manager with us, and Tony Wren's also with us here at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing at Casino in Anderson. And, again, you can see this tonight. We want you to be here, but you can see this later on tonight on FS1, which is exciting news. For those that may not know, Gabe, explain what they're going to be watching. If they're watching it maybe on FS1 or if they come here live, what are you going to be watching for those that may be a bit novice about this?
I think it's a good way to introduce yourself, you know, if you're not into the weeds, say, as we are with horse racing. But you're going to see a rapid-fire broadcast if you tune in, because you're going to see get a race from Horseshoe and then a race from here. So it's going to go back and forth. I think it's going to mold together quite nicely. But what you're going to see here is some of the very best standardbred racehorses in North America. We've got a significant undercard. There's 15 races here tonight in total. We're actually going to kick things off in less than an hour now at 5:30 with the first race. Again, that signature Dan Patch going to go just after 10:40 p.m. But
are these like preliminaries?
No, this is the big stage.
Because some people look at that, so you tell me.
This is the big dance. Now, some of the undercard races are locally based horses, although we do have some shipping in here tonight from all over the Midwest to join us as part of a good undercard as well. But the big dance, we've got 2 locally based horses. And, you know, if you want something to root for out there as a Hoosier, how about this? The favorite in the race, a horse based right here at Hoosier Park. His name is Little Rocket Man. He's the 3-1 morning line favorite. He's won.
I've heard of Little Rocket Man
before. This is his playground. He's based right here, but he is inviting some rivals in here tonight. They're going to be pretty tough. He's made $1.8 million. Now, he's 9 years old, and he seems to continue to get better and better. The veteran, the oldest horse to have ever won this race coming into this year, 7 years old. He's trying to do something that's never been done before.
Well, my daughter's 15, and it's cost me like the same amount of money.
He himself, he's been in this race 4 times, and the best he's finished, I should say 3 times. This is his 4th. Best he's finished is 4th so far, but he's never been the favorite. You know, this is a different element for him. He just continues to get better and better. But I think if you're a Hoosier out there, you know, your rooting interest lies squarely with Little Rocket Man.
Little Rocket Man. So does that mean Little Rocket Man trains here?
Yes, he does.
Oh, man.
He's based right here on the backstretch. So we've got ourselves a celebrity here on a daily basis.
That is awesome right there, too. So, all right, a little bit more about some of the others on
we've
the
got,
card tonight.
you know, again, a couple of other veterans here. One thing that we have the ability to do, just a cool note for the race at Hoosier, they take the top, when horses nominate this, when it comes down to draw day, which was actually this Tuesday, 21 horses entered this race. Now, what happens, we take the top 10 highest money earners. That's how you punch your ticket into this race, sort of like the Derby horses that earn points throughout the course of the 3-year-old season. Some of the thoroughbred fans may understand. Now, after that point, we have the opportunity as a facility, if we'd like to add an 11th horse, we sort of get an invitation out there, and we can invite anyone we want. So another cool horse that coming into this is just a 4-year-old, but he's an Indiana bred. He was bred right here in Indiana. He actually won 12 races here at Hoosier Park last year at one point. His name is Sabonis. Course loves to win. This is
Sabonis as in Domas Sabonis?
I assume so, yes.
It is.
Tony is confirming on that. So he's won 18 of 27, 2/3 of his races. He won 16 of 18 last year. He won 12 in a row right here at Hoosier Park.
Wow.
So he used to be a locally based horse, so we're sort of bringing an old champion back to face up with one of the best horses that's ever raced here at Hoosier Park in Little Rocket, man.
He is Gabe Pruitt. What else you got for folks?
We've got a contest. So when you walk in the door, and this is a free contest, right? You're going to take a free shot. We all like free shots out there. So you're going to pick the winner of the Dan Patch, one of those 11 horses. Now, if you pick the winning horse, you're going to be grouped with those that did so, and you're going to get a $10,000 prize if your name is the one drawn out after you pick the winner. So you're literally taking a $10,000 free crack at it. Someone's going to win it. It might as well be you.
I will say this, and I know that your business is all done over here, but I was just telling Tony this as well. I roll up and the casino is hopping. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Casino is hopping. The book is doing great too. I mean, you guys got it all up here.
There's a lot of buzz around here. And of course, with the sports book, we'll be getting geared up for college football, the NFL right around the corner. So as you guys were talking about ahead of time, it's really a fun time of year. We're getting this stake schedule cranked. We're racing 5 nights a week right now. So Tuesday through Saturday nights, we invite everyone up. Always a first post 5:30. We'll make sure you have a good time if you come up here and see us. First-class restaurant, dining facilities, great view of the track. It's all indoor, air conditioned. You've got a lot going on here. We have a
great
slew of activities.
By the way, too.
Slew of activities on the apron tonight with some activities for the kids. If you want to bring the whole family up, they're more than welcome. We'll actually have all the champion horses for that 13th race. They're going to be on display in the front paddock for an hour before that race. So if you're on track, you can literally get within a few feet of these champions. You can see them all right up close. It's really a view unlike almost any sport that you can be that close to the superstars that are out there tonight.
So have you been here a year yet?
I have not. No, this is my first season, March.
Man, oh, man. So you got here in March.
Yes.
Have you acclimated? Where do you live?
I live downtown, Bottle Works District.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Yes, right.
You live over in Bottle Works here. Look at that. That's very trendy out here right there.
It's a fun area. It's a fun area. I spend most of my time here at the track.
Were you from Lexington or around Lexington?
Yes, I can throw a baseball and hit Rupp Arena. I don't do that, though, by the way. Rupp Arena's a great place.
Oh, man. You love the Wildcats, don't you?
I'm a graduate and through. So, yes, I do. Don't hold that against me to everyone out there.
Yeah, where your Mark Pope pom-poms.
I'm a Mark Pope guy. I was a Cal guy. I was a little disappointed on the transition, but I'm now a big believer in Mark Pope.
Now, do you kind of cheer for Arkansas being a Cal guy?
It's been tough. He's got the entire staff. I'm not going to say that I cheer for them, but, I don't want to shit ill will to him. The guy did us a lot of good. You know what else Cal was good at? And I don't want to make anyone puke on the broadcast here, but he was also a very good community guy. He raised money when we would have disasters and floods and tornadoes. So
I will say this. People around here like Mark Pope because he was here for a time with the Pacers.
See, that's I'm not trying to say. If you need an SEC rooting interest, we're here for you guys. We're here.
I don't think you're ever going to be able to transition folks around here to that. But, yeah, still, Mark Pope.
He's a good guy. It's hard not to like him. Yeah. He's even if you're not a Kentucky fan, he really is legitimately a good guy.
All right, what time do you get started once again?
5:30 first post. Again, FS2 tonight, 8 to 9:30. FS1 will transition over 9:30 to 11. That leads us into the big one, the Dan Patch Stakes, 32nd running, right around 10:40 p.m. So tune in. It's an all Indiana, not a national TV. We'll be part of it with their sister track, Horseshoe, Indianapolis.
Go ahead, Tone.
What's great about this, John? I'm from Louisville. He's from Lexington.
Lord,
and we're sitting there telling you about Hoosier racing.
Ganging up on me right here. Louisville and Lexington in the house. The Commonwealth representing. Gabe, thanks, man.
Thanks so much. My pleasure. And hope to see everyone out at the track tonight.
Yes, can't wait to see Gabe. Tony's going to hang around, too. Joel A. Erickson coming up at the top of the hour. Got your chance to win some concert tickets as well. And more on me tomorrow. The JMV Takeover is live with the Indiana Donor Network. We're going to be at the Tap at the Indiana State Fair. I want this to be a big deal, so if you're going out to the State Fair, man, come out and hang out with us. 6 hours of all-request music. Laura Steele will join me out there for a large portion of the time. DJ Skids We'll be taking requests for your mini mixes coming up tomorrow night, too. All of this at the Tap Room at the Indiana State Fair coming up tomorrow. We're brought to you by the Indiana Donor Network, the JMV Takeover, the All Requests Saturday night, tomorrow night from the Tap Room at the Indiana State Fair. It's on B105.7. Quick break, we'll come back. More to come. Don't go anywhere. Your chance to win. And we have the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day after 5 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop.
and there is no one that does it better. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Kansas, the Jefferson Starship together, Everwise Amphitheater. Number 9 at 239-1070. You can go on us and thank us later. Again, Kansas and Jefferson Starship together at Everwise. Now, I should mention this. I know Colts lose, by the way, 24-16 to the Ravens preseason game 1. Our conversation has revolved around that over the course of the afternoon. Colts happy hour, that is coming up in the 6 o'clock hour with a lot of me, a lot of Matt Taylor, Casey Valier, Rick Venturi. I know Hunter Wohler is going to be a part of it, too. There is a ton coming up in the 6 o'clock hour of Colts coverage. Back at practice tomorrow and then again coming up on Sunday. And then a week from Saturday, they are going to end up getting at Lucas Oil Stadium, the Green Bay Packers, a preseason game. Number 2, Anthony Richardson, dislocated pinky. Day-to-day has been described. Is that the national anthem right there? I thought that played. I'm going to stand at attention. I can't do that. National anthem playing. James, hold on one sec. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson, our national anthem. I should mention this, too. You know, outside of talking Colts preseason game 1, practice this weekend, Fever last night, a loser back at home against Chicago coming up tomorrow. And this date in history, back in 1988, does anybody remember the significance of it? And I'm assuming a lot of you Cubs fans probably won't because you just became Cubs fans about 10 years ago. But the first night game at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And I remember vividly watching that. It was really kind of weird to see it. This date back in 1988, that first night game at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Harry Carey, Bill Murray was a part of that broadcast, if you remember. But it was weird. I want to say it went through a rain delay, too, did it not? But, yeah, this date in 1988, lights at Wrigley Field, which is significant. Joel A. Erickson of the Stars going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Again, you had the dislocated pinky and a day-to-day situation for Anthony Richardson. We shall see if that is going to affect what they had in mind as far as Richardson and Jones, quarterbacks, starting coming up on Saturday, a week from tomorrow, versus Green Bay. We'll talk about that with Joel. And the Colts do make a move today. We'll do that coming up here at the top of the hour with Joel A. Erickson of the Star. More to give away, and Tony Renz rejoins from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. The Dan Patch is coming up later on. In fact, 5:30 for that initial post. The 32nd edition of the Dan Patch. The $300,000 Dan Patch Stakes presented by the Indiana Standard Bred Development at Harrah's Hoosier Park here in Anderson. Coming up at 5:30, that first post time. That and more for you. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Jenny, don't. David Letterman.
Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
3rd and long for the Ravens around the Colts 10-yard line. They lead 14-6. Leary goes out of the gun. Ball in the right hash. Backs to throw. Good protection. Hangs in there, and it's intercepted at the 10-yard line by the Colts. It's their second takeaway today, and it's the linebacker Joe Bacci with the takeaway.
Matt, he went over the top and took the ball away.
I thought that was really good. I thought Charles Arbuckle described that nicely. Very athletic interception right there. Plus, I happen to think that Joe Bacci has a badass name. Joe Bacci's badass. Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle, Colts Radio Network. This show is live at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. The 32nd Dan Patch is starting at 5:30 today. You can join us here. I will also tell you, for those of you that are going to Sid's tonight, I'm going to Sid's tonight. So once I bail out of here, I'm going to text Brian, the owner. I'm going to head to Sid's in Noblesville and hang out because Sid's is celebrating 80 years of incredible business. And from what people tell me, this is not really on my dietary function right now, but incredible tenderloins. But Sid's in Noblesville, I'm going to stop by there once this show is done here. And then I'm going to be back at Sid's in Noblesville coming up on Sunday from 1 until 3 because we know this to be true. We've got to have some live show stuff going on when there is 80 years to celebrate. Sid's in Noblesville. I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. I know Jason Aldean, I think, is later on tonight. Woo-hoo, Jason Aldean. I think that's tonight. JMV Takeover is tomorrow night. That is a woo-hoo at the State Fair on B105.7. In the tap room, you can join me there. But Sid's tonight. I'll look for you tonight at Sid's. Again, that's after the show. And then again on Sunday, 1 until 3. And I've heard stories, really true stories, that the Fubar Lounge in the Cement Pond is going to be open after Sid's coming up on Sunday. Just saying. Thank you, Tony Renz. Tony's going to rejoin us in a second. Meantime, Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. You heard that lead-in right there with Matt Taylor and Charles Arbuckle. The Colts lose 24-16. Preseason game 1 last night in Baltimore. That's not really at all the story. What is the dislocated pinky of Anthony Richardson going out, and what is going to be back-to-back practices tomorrow and again on Sunday at Grand Park up in Westfield, and then what may be the case or a change of pace, if you will, with the starters at quarterback coming up on Saturday, a week from Saturday, when Green Bay visits Lucas Oil Stadium. And joining us to talk about that, big-time Milwaukee Brewers fan and former second baseman of the Brewers, Jim Gantner, joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Jim, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I love that my number is shadow retired by the Brewers.
I thought about this on my way up here today, Joel. This is what goes through my head. I go, I'm going to introduce Joe A. Erickson as Jim Gantner today, just for the hell of it.
Jimmy Gantner, the Wisconsin boy who spent 17 seasons there.
They love him. Now, I will say this. I don't know if you ever played, and probably you didn't because this is an old-school dice game, but I played a game called Stratomatic back in the day in the 80s, a baseball game. And while Jim Gantner is well-known and, you know, a player that you want a part of your team, I would never have him playing second base because he was always seemed like he was always hitting like in the 240s or something like that. He could field the baseball, but he was always kind of hitting in the 240s. I was always back then. My second baseman was like Juan Samuel. I wanted to go with a high strikeout opportunity to hit a long ball back in the day. So Jim Gantner was not my guy.
You were ahead of the analytical game. You were ahead of the
analytical
game.
That was.
They wanted the power from it.
Yeah, and look, one of these days, if you have a minute and you get away from all these Anthony Richardson questions that you're bombarded with, check out the game Stratomatic and its history in baseball online somewhere. and then report back to me, because it was a fantastic, if you're a baseball fan, passing of the time back in the day that I don't think exists.
I am highly aware of Stratomatic. In fact, I think I played it when I was a kid. Yeah, I think I played it when I was a kid. I think my dad introduced me to it. I think somebody had some Stratomatic around. What we used to do was, and this, I guess, sorry if my pastor from my church in Eau Claire, Wisconsin is listening. He's not. But what my friends and I used to do was play random number generator baseball in the pews during the service. And so you assign, you assign the little number to a single or whatever, and then you make your lineup and go for it.
That's beautiful. I admire it. We played that passed the time in the 80s. We played Stratomatic. I had a case, and I was actually the Brewers, but I didn't play. We played with all-star teams, and my all-star, I got in on it kind of late, so my all-star team, I believe I had when he was a Brewer, Glenn Braggs, I think, was in my outfield then. I had Rob Deere, because Rob Deere in 87 had a big home run total, but also struck out about 9 million times. Yep. As Rob Bombardier might have had, but my team was the Brewers back then, and it was a fun game. I'll tell you this: we didn't always go by the exact rules. We modified the rules a little bit, much like you might, playing hockey or something like that on video games, and you take the offsides off. We modified the rules a little bit. Thus, Jim Sundberg led the league in 1987 with home runs, and I have no idea how, with 48, which was probably well beyond his career total as a Major League Baseball performer in real life. So pretty incredible.
That's amazing. I love it. I think that if you're going to play them, you got to have some weirdness. Now you do it on. My son's got MLB The Show. For the Nintendo Switch, and now if you want to play, you just fire it up on there.
Yes, that's exactly right. So this is it was great back then though. Stratomatic, I actually had, and this is years ago, I had the inventor, the creator of Stratomatic on this show once, and it was fascinating. It really was.
That's pretty cool. That's honestly, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. What wasn't cool is, Joe, I don't panic and freak out other than when I call must-wins in week number one, must-win situations, as I normally do. However, I understand this is the preseason, but, man, so much of what we witnessed last night is so much of what we have witnessed here in recent history that has led us to be positioned and following this team where it is right now. Like, there were moments with Tyler Warren. There were some moments with a couple of other players. But a lot of what we witnessed last night I felt was the same and disappointing. What say you?
I think that's probably fair. I don't know that outside of Warren, I don't know that. You know what? JT Tuimoloau. I'll give. Mm-hmm. There was some interesting stuff there. There were a few flashes from individual guys. I think, people were asking me what I thought of the way Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard played. I thought it's pretty much been what we've seen at camp. Jones is going to generally make the smart play. Some drops affected him yesterday, but he's not necessarily going to make, outside of that one throw to Doolin, the extraordinary play. Riley Leonard has been kind of scattershot in camp. It was kind of what we've seen. And then obviously you have Richardson's injury and the play that led to it.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. The way you're thinking right now, and you've been up there for every snap, and you went to Baltimore for every snap. You were there for every snap last night. And this is kind of an honor because real-life commander of Apollo 13, Jim Lovell, has passed away at the age of 97. I think we learned that yesterday. I think he passed away. But he had a great quote in the film Apollo 13, and his Gene Kranz, his flight commander, had the quote, "What on the ship is good?" What do you see on the ship that is good right now moving forward to those like me that would suggest there's a lot of the same old happening presently?
Well, I think one thing that we're just not going to see in the preseason that we're going to have to – I'm not saying to necessarily get excited about it because there's no guarantees with it, but one of the things that I think we need to remember in the preseason is that Lou Anarumo's defense – like all defenses are simple in preseason, but here's the thing about like Matt Eberflus's defense and Gus Bradley's defense. They were simple in the regular season too. The jump from preseason to regular season with those guys, they were doing more game planning, more stuff. But for the most part, those are simple, static defenses. We're not going to see anything that we can judge Lou Anarumo's scheme on at this point. We're just not. His whole thing is based on game planning. They're not really going to game plan for these teams. I think in terms of that question, because I got that a couple times yesterday, hey, the defense doesn't look much more interesting at all. Well, he's not going to do that right now. He's going to wait till they get to the actual games to game plan those out. So that one I'm kind of just set on the back burner. I need to see it once things start for real and he's actually, doing what he was hired to do, which is come up with the sort of game plan specific type stuff. I think one of the other things is just the joint practices. The joint practice looked a lot better than the game. You feel better about that from an offensive line standpoint because they were actually playing the ones. That's one of the other things that happens with these joint practices that have exploded across the NFL is that now we're not seeing the ones go against the ones in the preseason. It's 3 1s and 7 2s and 1 3 going against some other combination on the other side. And so that takes a little bit of it. Now, on the flip side, I think some of the stuff we saw at quarterback, and I think this is this is pretty much the gist of what I wrote, is if you were looking for reasons not to believe in the quarterbacks or reasons that these quarterbacks were a risk in the first place, it was all there for you.
That's Joey Erickson of the Stars on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Back-to-back practices this weekend at Westfield at Grant Park, and then obviously Saturday, preseason game 2 against Green Bay. I would agree with you on the whole philosophy on defensively in the preseason. The one thing that did stand out, there were, again, a lot of missed tackles. Preseason game number 1, I understand, but this has been a very unbecoming trait that, still, in preseason game number 1 was an issue last night. Hopefully that goes away, unlike it did not over the course of the Gus Bradley era.
Well, and I think one of the other things that I made a mental note of early in those drives is, we're supposed to be looking for linebackers because that spot is open next to Zaire Franklin, and Joe Bocci has the interception, but there was a lot of rushing yards with that first group. There was a lot of rushing yards that first group, and that's a question mark for the linebackers. That's a question mark for the backup tackles. When Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner are in there, I'm less concerned. But in the past couple of years, whenever Grover Stewart's gone out, teams have gone, oh wait, 90's out. Let's run right there at the guy behind him. And so I still have some questions about whether or not they have the guys to do something closer to his level once they go out in the run game. And then, the other thing from the defense that I think is a very real concern is something we learned after the game, that Justin Wally tore his ACL. And all of a sudden, this cornerback position that they really did put a lot of resources into this offseason is suddenly thin again after them trying to make it as deep as possible. I think that second spot, that second starting spot on the outside is suddenly a pretty real concern with Wally being out. Jalen Jones has a somewhat, to some level of degree, serious hamstring injury. And then Juju Brents is also dealing with a hamstring injury and has his own injury history. That was 3 guys competing for one spot, and all 3 of them are currently sidelined.
Yeah, it is beyond problem. I'm assuming some moves forthcoming. I mean, do they need to dive into veteran free agent pool at some point here with the situation you find in that defensive secondary?
They kind of already have by bringing in Trey Herndon and Duke Shelley. Those are guys that have played a lot of football but have been kind of bouncing around for a little bit here. If they're going to make a signing or an acquisition that's a difference maker, it's going to have to be at the end of training camp, like when they got Womack last year, because all those guys all the rosters are still at 90 right now. I do think that if you're the Colts pro scouting people, that this preseason you are looking at corners all of a sudden, and you weren't really expecting to. That it's one of those things. That is actually a position. They signed somebody in free agency. They made a lesser signing in free agency that didn't work out with Corey Ballantyne. They drafted a guy on the first 2 days. They really did put some resources into that position, and now injury has made it thin again.
It's Joel A. Erickson on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Have we here recently seen the real A.D. Mitchell stand up? Or is this kind of a facsimile, if you will, of what we saw a year ago with moments that ultimately led to a rookie season, regular season disappointment?
I still want to see a little more when things are for real. There were signs last year in training camp, passes thrown by Joe Flacco that went to nowhere, where you assume that it's probably the rookie receiver and probably not the 39-year-old quarterback making the mistake. There were a handful of those through the first week. He looked good. He looked good in the joint practice. He's looked good for about a week and a half now. But you still want to see it from him once it's for real and teams are game planning and it's the real corners out there and all that stuff. I'm interested to see how he does against the Packers this week.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Joel, the plan was, starting Daniel Jones, but then Daniel Jones is almost like, he started because Richardson went down with a picky situation. How does that change the plan, you think, for preseason game 2 a week from tomorrow against Green Bay?
My best guess is that Steichen just kind of inverts what his plan was. His plan was for Richardson to start and play a quarter and a half before giving way to Jones. I wonder if Jones makes the start and gets 2 drives essentially against Green Bay, and then Richardson gets the rest of the half. That would seem to me to be the most obvious way to kind of make it even in their minds. I'm not expecting the Packers to play a lot of people because of the joint practice. Shane Steichen has already kind of hinted that he's going to follow the same plan with his most important players, so I'm kind of not expecting the Packers to do it. So that to me seems like if you're trying to make it equitable, the plan was to start somebody and play them a quarter and a half, but unfortunately because of the injury, Richardson started and played 2 series. It seems like the easiest thing to do would be to have Jones start, play 2 series, and then give the rest of the half to Richardson.
How did Daniel Jones look to you last night?
I think that's a lot of what we've seen in camp. He's going to make the right throw a lot. A lot of it's going to be accurate. If he was plagued by some drops last night. I counted at least 4 that should have been caught. So if he gets those, he's looking at more of a 13 of 21 type of game. I think in a game planning situation, that's going to give that accuracy and stuff is going to give you a little more in terms of completion percentage, because Steichen is going to be attacking an offense in a way that he wasn't last night. But I just don't know that we've seen at any point, and including last night, sort of the extra play. I don't know that he's going to elevate what the Colts have. And on the deep ball, I still need to see him be consistent enough on that to really take advantage of a guy like Alec Pierce down the field. But I think what you saw is it's going to be fairly consistent like it was last night. The ball is going to be fairly accurate. I just don't know that you're going to get a lot of extra from him.
Yeah. Anything else stand out to you? Maybe we haven't discussed, both good and bad, from last night, Joel?
I think the thing that I've come away with is not so much the injury with Richardson, but why the injury happened. And I know that this has been debated all over, Colts fan base today, but to me, when you see guys like Kurt Warner or Chase Daniel, these former players online saying that this is something that's day one install, that the quarterback and quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. But to me, there's a concern there that you've got something that is apparently a very basic part of the offense. You should know what the offensive line's going to do. You should know that guy's hot, and you don't get it out. To me, that's a concern because that's the kind of play that in the regular season, last night in the preseason, there's an injury, and the injury is obviously paramount because of Richardson's injury history. But that same play in the regular season without an injury, that could be an enormous sack fumble or a huge play that has nothing to do with the play call and has everything to do with the execution or the lack of execution on the quarterback's part. That's, to me, stuff like that, and that coupled with the injury, that's why there's an open competition, because you can't have that kind of stuff. It's tough to game plan and put something in. When they game plan these things, like they put in a new play, but it's not like they just put in that play. They go, well, this defense does this bunch of stuff, so we're going to put this in for this situation. But if they come out in a different coverage, you have to be able to switch it. Like, you've got to be on top of all that stuff and not have a situation like last night where you frankly, the rusher was your responsibility and you missed him and you ended up taking a big blow because of it.
Yeah, man, it is just so much the same with him. It's just hard not to think that once you're going to get even further down the road, because I will say this, Joel, I still think that he is, unless there is another injury and it takes him out, or all of a sudden there is a gap that widens canyon-like that there's no choice but to start Jones, I think regardless still it's going to be Anthony Richardson coming up in week number 1.
He has he's got the upside. He's got the upside, but I think the thing that's nagging at me today is that play showed that there's a bigger downside to him as well too. And I think that's probably a tough thing to weigh as a coach. It's yes, you're going to get, I mean, we've seen it. When he starts, you're going to get plays that you feel like maybe 3 or 4 other guys could make. But are you also getting plays that most quarterbacks wouldn't give up to the defense? And that can look like an incompletion, that can look like an interception. It can also look like a sack. It can also look like what it was last night, where a pressure isn't recognized and that leads to a negative play. Like that stuff, I think, is the tough part, because that downside is big. You get a bigger range of things that can happen with Richardson, but his ceiling is obviously higher than Jones's to me.
He spent 4 years in Milwaukee on the left side of that infield and had a career high in 1986 with 9 home runs. Let's thank Ernest Riles for joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Ernest, were you a big Ernest Riles guy?
Not Ernest Riles, more of a Pat Listash guy.
Oh, you like Listash? Yeah, well, everybody liked Listash. He was a base stealer, too. He was kind of multi-dimensional. Were you big on Dale Svam?
Everyone, yes. Everybody's big on Dale Svam, yes.
You know who I liked a great deal, and I always found it kind of unique? B.J. Surhoff, who was a highly regarded player, started out as a catcher, really multi-dimensional in his own right, and I think made a lot of noise early because I want to say he was on that 1985 Team USA Olympic team that had Larkin and Mark McGuire and a bunch of notables back then as well. I believe I just kind of lost my train of thought now. Who am I? Oh, B.J. Surhoff. Were you a big B.J. Surhoff guy? He was from the Bronx, New York, was he not? That's odd.
I believe B.J. was the number 1 pick in the 85 draft.
Yeah, I think if you look back at
the
85 Team USA team had Odeby McDowell played center field for that team in 85 Team USA. Remember Odeby McDowell?
Long time Brave, right?
Correct. And in Texas, I think, is where he started as well. But I just remember getting all those cards back in 1985. Maybe it was 86 when I got those.
I had a ton of Odeby McDowell, and I had a ton of all those guys. Mine were probably a little more 90s. But, BJ Surhoff. It's a miracle that I'm a Brewers fan, because I think I first started watching Like, they were okay in 92, but most of my childhood was like the dark playoffs or no possible, like losing 100 games Brewers teams. I was 22 years old before they were in the playoffs.
Well, and they were at the time in the American League East, and even with Don Mattingly, that was the time, right, when the Yankees still scuffled, and wasn't playing well. I think Boston, obviously in '86, went to the World Series, but there were some opportunities that were never met. I love coming on and going old school Brewers with you because I can do this absolutely all day long.
I always think, this is what I always think about growing up and being a Brewers fan. There are a lot of fans who are like, you know what, I don't care how long it takes, burn everything to the ground with whatever team they are. And they're like, I don't care how long we're bad. And you know what, it's fine to say that, but it's another thing to actually do that for more than a decade, Like, it's another thing to go, okay, well, we're going to blow it all up and we're going to be awful, and we don't, like, it might take us a decade and a half. Let me tell you, in year 7 and year 8 of that decade and a half, that gets a lot harder than you think it does right now.
Joe, Colts fans, been watching this group since 2014. Feel the pain. Let me tell you that right here. There's no doubt about it. Feel the pain. Hey, man, I always enjoy the conversation more than you know. It was good to see you last week. I'll see you on Monday and then again on Thursday coming up next week at Westfield. Thanks, Joe.
You bet. We'll see you later.
Joel A. Erickson of the Stars on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Tony Ransbury joins the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. The Dan Patch coming up 5:30, first post time. We're in Anderson at Harrah's Hoosier Park on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
waiting. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Thomas Nicholas Band tomorrow night, Indiana State Fair. From American Pie to the stage as a musician, Thomas Nicholas. State Fair tomorrow night. Number 9 at 239-1070 is going to go. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino at Anderson. Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day coming up in a minute. Tony Renz rejoins us. Pacer fans, the NBA has stuck it to you again. Are you ready? Are you ready to have it stuck to you? So the Christmas Day schedule has been unleashed, and Shams has it. The Cavaliers and the Knicks, the Spurs and the Thunder, the Rockets and the Lakers, the Mavericks and the Warriors, the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, obviously excluding the Pacers, which would be the first team ever to make the NBA Finals and not get a Christmas Day game. Let me tell you this. And Miles Turner still pisses me off about what he said when he left town and what he said about, the quality and competition or the quality of the team and having a talented team. This, to me, is a good thing because this just fuels it even more. I didn't expect them to get a Christmas Day game, but to be the first team to make the finals and not get one and push it to 7 games, I know everybody's going to say, well, I understand it because, Tyrese Halliburton's injured and Miles Turner's gone. Yeah, the NBA can just shove it. I'm glad. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch this team this season. And then they can shove it up everybody's rear end. Seriously, I can't wait. I am confident in that. We can go ahead and skip ahead to it right now. Absolutely confident in that. So no Christmas Day game for the Pacers becoming, has been reported right here, the first team to ever make the NBA Finals and not get one. I'll tell you, Pacers, they don't think you're anything. Pacer fans, they don't think you're anything either. I think everybody needs to unite on this. Can we unite on one thing? It should be this. Back to that in a second. Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day coming up. That's Tony Renz right there. We're dueling Michelob Ultras right now.
Yeah,
how you doing, my brother? You okay?
We're giving it a run for its money. I tell you, enough beer after this. We're getting into that Heaven Hill larceny after this.
No, Brent Holverson, Heaven Hill Distillery. Larceny Bourbon Double Shot Power from the tap room tomorrow. Indiana State Fair. You excited about that live show at the Indiana State Fair? Plus, I hear that you want to make the Labor Day weekend bender, the 3rd annual at Mystic Waters Campground, which I passed on my way up here. Is Brent out there, you think, right now? Brent or Lisa or anybody, you think?
One of them would be out there. I know you got a big concert down at the Ruoff, so I bet you they are camping.
Is that Jason Aldean tonight?
I bet you they're camping and bussing people.
Jason Aldean. I have heard that if you don't like Jason Aldean's music, it does not matter, that the smoking chicks are all over that show. That's what they say.
That's a
I don't know anything about it.
B-I-N-G-O.
I don't know a damn note that Jason Aldean plays. I have no idea any of his music, but that's what I hear. The dudes all say, we got to go to that because the chicks are everywhere. That's what they say.
There you go.
I don't know. All right. Hey, what we got coming up later on tonight right here, Tony Renz?
You got the Dan Patch Stakes Invitational, $300,000. It's going to be race 13. It'll go off about 10:30, 10:40. It's being live nationally broadcast on FS1. This is a big deal. This is Indiana's #1 richest race, thoroughbred or standardbred. And then tonight we're running a special card down at Shelbyville, and we're doing a free contest where you bet 3 races here, 3 races there. Top prize $1,000.
And you guys are going to be on FS2 and FS1.
Yes.
Later on tonight too. So people. We want you to be motivated to come out here, but even if you're not motivated to come out here, you can watch it later on tonight.
Absolutely.
TV.
It's a big night.
Yes.
Like I said, the beer's flowing, the Heaven Hill's flowing.
Oh, man.
We're having a blast. The food's getting ready to start up here soon, and they've got a buffet over there. I took a look at it. The shrimp look like lobsters.
Do they really?
Oh, my gosh.
Do they have stuff over there that would be complimentary to my dietary protocol right now?
I'm sure they would.
Oh, I love it. Is there cottage cheese over there on the old salad bar?
If not, I know the chef.
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you. If they go out and get their cottage cheese from Gordon's, I am in love. Love me some Gordon's right there. I do, along with Daisy Brand. What else you got going on, my brother?
You know, we're doing the Governor's Cup racing down at the State Fairgrounds next Wednesday. You're going to be with us. I believe we got Query with us with a stand-in.
That's Wednesday, too,
that's
right?
Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday.
With Rake Straw, I believe, is standing in for Query. That's going to be noon to 6. We got consolation racing from 11 till 2. And then we come back with the championship, the Governor's Cup.
So we're going to be in the stands right there?
Yes.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
You'll have a blast. We had Query there this past Wednesday.
I saw a little bit of that.
And I'm pretty sure, I know he's probably listening if he's not on that flight to L.A. yet. We're trying to get him upstairs to call a race.
He would love that.
With all
he would be so good at that. I promise.
Yes.
So good at that.
Yes. So that next Wednesday is a big day for harness racing in Indiana. That's Governor's Cup.
Yep.
We're hoping the governor makes it out, gets it to the winner's circle, presents a trophy with us. It'll be a lot of fun.
Is it the Governor's Cup? Is it named after Mike Braun?
It's named after the governor.
I will tell you this. I don't know too much about Mike Braun other than he's from Du Bois County and from Jasper. But I did meet him. This is going back to Dawson's on Main in May. He had somebody come over to me and say, hey, there's somebody over here that wants to meet you. And it was him. And he goes, I know how you feel about politics. I know you hate it, so we'll just talk about music. Is that cool? So that part was cool. I mean, he just said, because he understood that I don't want to hear a damn thing about politics, and he wanted to talk music, and that was good.
I tell you what I liked about him, and I've met him a couple times. He always talks about this German restaurant down there in Jasper.
Schnitzelbank.
Schnitzelbank, that's it. Yeah, and I'm trying to get down there on a Friday night.
You got to do it.
And walk in, hopefully
I have
run
friends.
into him. And
ask for Alan at the Schnitzelbank. Say, JMV sent me, and Alan will set you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the Schnitzelbank. Hey, quick break. We'll come back. We'll get a final time with Tony Renz here and get you set for the weekend, too, with Colts practice at Grand Park in Westfield. Tickets available for that, Colts.com. Colts Happy Hour with a full recap. Me, Casey, Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, Charles Arbuckle, and a whole lot more coming up in the 6 o'clock hour for Colts Happy Hour. But right now, let's do it on a Friday. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. From this place, Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Here's your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day.
The Ride with JMV.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course. The holy hand grenade of Antioch. Right. 1, 2, 5. 3, sir. 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Jeff Taylor, the winner. The winning horse was Cossette's Image. $2.60 on a $2 bet. The $2 exacta was $10.80. 50-cent trifecta, $11.10. Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Tuesday through Friday right here in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Harry McDonald and Sidney Colson. Both with injuries last night in that loss to Phoenix. Done for the season with both. Done for the season, as we learned a little bit earlier today. Pacers with no Christmas Day game. First NBA Finals team ever not to be a part of it. And the Colts practice twice coming up on Saturday and Sunday. I'll be there coming up on Monday. State Fair with the gentleman that's about to speak once again, Tony Renz, coming up on Wednesday. And then back at Colts camp at Westfield. That is on Thursday. But, Tony, you and I together again, not only tomorrow night with the JMV Takeover, but also coming up on Wednesday at the State Fair.
Absolutely. You know, John, I just found the horse for you.
Tell me all about it.
Read it to me.
I'm skinny dipping.
That's you. That's
Skinny
got you
dipping.
all written over it. 14th race.
Skinny dipping was always a thing down in Greene County. I was always afraid that something may get mistook as bait. That always scared me. I go, I don't know, man. This thing looked like a lure moving through the water here. I don't know. All right, I'm sorry. I digress here, Tony. The night is going to be big.
It is.
Unlike the lure, yes.
A lot of negative stuff going on in Indiana sports right now. I heard about the unfortunate thing with the fever. We seen what happened last night, but, tonight it's all positive. We've got good horse racing here. It's all good, positive energy.
Yeah, good, positive energy. And Fox Sports 2?
Yes, and 1.
Fox Sports 1 coming up later on tonight as well, too. And then next Wednesday, you and I will join one another again on the air at the State Fair.
For the Governor's Cup. It's once a year. You get the best of the county fair racing. So that's kind of like the not the minor league, but it's the ones they're kind of working their way to get here to the big track.
So is the governor going to be there, or you don't know yet?
I'm sure hoping. We've invited every year, and I believe in Governor Braun, and I'm hoping he's going to make the track out to us.
Who's the lieutenant governor? What's his name?
Micah Beckwith.
Oh, yeah, Mike. Glad it's not the lieutenant governor's cup.
Is that he's got a little bit on his plate right now?
Does he? I haven't even noticed, but he just kind of seems lame to me. I don't know. That's just it's not even political. It just kind of looks lame.
I met him. He came to our banquet back in January. Very nice gentleman. First time I've met him. Very nice person.
Sure he is. I don't know him from anything. That's just my first impression, I guess.
I understand that.
Yeah. And it's weird, too, because I'm not a political guy. I mentioned the first impression with Braun was he said, I know you don't like politics, and we won't talk about it. I go, well done right there. But with Beckwith, it's kind of weird. So
I understand that.
Yeah. Hey, tomorrow night you're going to be with me as well, hopefully, at the State Fair?
I'm trying to pull my family out there, dress us all up in the 80s.
Oh, man, you know how fun that is going to be right there.
Dance Party USA, baby.
Dance Party USA. DJ Skids will be out there. Laura Steele is going to join me. State Fair tomorrow night. The JMV Takeover will be live at 6 until midnight. And a shout-out to Dan Pantos, who's going to be running the board back at the studio. But this is we have done 2 at Mystic Waters Campground. Our 3rd annual is coming up Labor Day weekend Bender. And then we did as well at the night before the 500, and it has gone fantastically. I do think there's going to be a time, Tony, when that show is going to be out more than it's going to be in. You watch.
I think you're right. The original idea to take it on the road started with you and I here.
It did.
I still want to bring it here at some point. New Year's Eve.
It did start right here, didn't it, on New Year's Eve?
And we have not taken advantage of it yet. But
now, you guys have a substantial New Year's Eve gathering here, don't you?
New Year's Eve here is off the chain.
Now, is it packed in here, too, for New Year's Eve?
It's jam-packed. And here's what I love about it. It's the only place on New Year's Eve you can sit next to a person, and the gentleman have an Armani, the female will have a nice Nordstrom dress, and then the person next to him might be in their pajamas.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good mixture that you got working right there, too. Remind people, too, they're going to see, I know they're all filtering in here for the 32nd annual Dan Patch.
First post was 5:30, so we've already got one race under our belt, maybe getting ready to have the second one under our belt. We've got 15 races tonight, so we're going to go to about 11:30, 11:45. Dan Patch race itself is race 13. That's about 10:40. Things going on all over the place. Contest free that you want to jump into. Nothing like free money. It's beers flowing, Heaven Hills flowing, good food, good people. Come out and have fun.
The buffet is rocking too, right?
Yeah, little lobsters over there. They keep calling shrimp.
Little lobsters right there. So that's great. Hey, thanks for all you do for us.
No, John, we thank you. We always enjoy having you out. You bring a bunch of energy, and we like it.
Love that, too. That's Tony Renz right there. And, again, hopefully we see him tomorrow night inside the tap room at the Indiana State Fair. But we certainly will see him coming up a Wednesday, in fact, over at the Indiana State Fair. Thanks, Tony.
John, take care.
Tony Renz right there, everybody. Ask for him when you come up here to Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Dev, the on-site engineer. Our good guy Griff has been hanging out with us all day long as well. And, again, thanks to everybody, all of our broadcast partners and all of our friends and listeners for a fantastic golf outing yesterday down at Legends in Franklin. Urban One was absolutely elite level 2 yesterday. It was outstanding. Thank you all for the time that we had. And here's to doing that bad boy again. You don't have to RSVP, but I would love to see and hear from you if you're going to join us tomorrow night for the JMV Takeover. A very special live show brought to you by the Indiana Donor Network inside the tap room at the Indiana State Fair. I know Dev's going to be a part of it with me. He's going to be the on-site engineer. Dan Panto's back at the studio. You are, right? Or is it Cam? Oh, it's Cam tomorrow? Okay, Cam. Dev's going, good God, don't schedule me for that. Cam is going to be with us tomorrow. But Laura Steele will join us. The legendary voice, Laura Steele, wanted to do a JMV takeover. And I said, Laura, why not join us coming up when we're live at the Indiana State Fair? And DJ Skids, you normally get all his mini mixes, but he is going to perform those live coming up for us tomorrow night. The tap room at the Indiana State Fair, the JMV takeover. James, great job out of you back at the studio, too. I am going to go to Sid's. Sid's celebrating 80 years. I'll be there on Sunday from 1 until 3. But a little bit of an appetizer, a precursor. Anybody wants to meet me at Sid's, I'm going to head down there right now. And I'm going to join Brian, the owner, at Sid's as we celebrate 80 years at Sid's in Noblesville. I'll see you guys coming up here in less than an hour at Sid's in Noblesville. Come up and chat me up. Join me at Sid's in Noblesville. That is coming up here within the next hour. All right. Colts Happy Hour is coming up next. That's Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle, Casey Valier, Rick Venturi, and so much more. Me as well. It should be an absolute blast with Colts Happy Hour. JMV Takeover tomorrow night. The Indiana State Fair's tap room begins at 6 o'clock. I want to see you all there with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan and B105.7 tomorrow night.